All right, our guest today is Derek Isaac. Derek, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, Nicholas. Glad to be here.
Great. Can you introduce yourself and what you do and what your company does?
Yeah. So my name's Derek. I'm a systems coach for contractors, for construction business owners. I help them with their processes, their systems, their technology, all that good stuff that a lot of contractors don't enjoy doing, but I do. And I help them systematize their business essentially. I've been doing the coaching consulting for a number of years now. My background is in construction. Started in the trades as a laborer and worked my way up and was a foreman and had a subcontracting company. Did framing carpentry was my trade of choice, and moved into general contracting and renovations and home building and all that good stuff. So I've got a wide variety of experiences. I brought that into the coaching consulting and saw a big need in the industry for just helping contractors with their systems and processes. I know firsthand the big, difference it made in my company when I didn't have to do everything from scratch and running around wearing all the hats, but actually, building a process and a system that can be delegated and refined and improved, and just the massive amount of benefits come with it, from saving time to increasing profits and just peace of mind, even, and being able to go on vacation without the business falling apart while you're gone. So yeah.
Awesome. That's great. So when you were running your company, that's when you realized, hey, I need some systems. What led you to that point to have that
Yeah,
realization and start to develop the systems?
like so many things, it was a journey and a process, and there wasn't any big aha moment. Um Advocate of personal development and education, so I read a lot of books, and one big book that kind of opened my eyes a bit to systems and organization of a business was the E-Myth by Michael Gerber. So great book. Go check it out if you don't haven't read it already or heard about it. But it goes through just a small business struggle of the business owner running around taking care of everything and not really having a system or process, to actually starting to figure out the different functions and delegating tasks and building a business with a proper foundation. So that I brought into my contracting business. And so that was good. It got me that spark, but it didn't really get me to the point where, you know, I, where I had systems in my business. So that was just an ongoing sort of thought process. And, you know, one thing and try to get one system or process going. I got some project management software in my business, a big step forward. So getting that dialed in and built out was big. I used Ultra at the time. I have clients with a number of different software for their businesses, depending on what they want or what they're already using. Um, and another thing, just like an employee handbook, just standard things like that, or a sales process. Each system, each document you get in place, it enables you to build other ones, get better at it, and it gives you more time. So my suggestion is always focus on a big pain point right now. So whatever spending a lot of time on that is challenging, try to build a system, go upstream, as I say. If you're having an issue or problem in your business, what's the leading cause of that? And that's where the opportunity is to build a system or process to take care of it before it becomes an issue or problem. Or the low hanging fruit is another place to start, where, what tasks are you doing every day where really you could hire someone, like an admin, or even just someone to answer phones or whatever. Um, and it's more of an entry level skill, but because you're the business owner, you're still doing it. So build a little process, figure out what you do, put that on paper, document it, and then delegate it to an assistant or somebody in your company that can take care of it. So
Nice. That sounds like very helpful things that businesses can implement, which leads me to, what's your typical customer that you work with? So what type of contractor and what size are they? Oh,
yeah, sorry, a little
oh,
bit of
Yeah,
connection spikes there.
that's okay.
So the typical clients that I deal with and help are mostly general contractors, remodelers, and home builders. I do work with some trades businesses as well, although majority are general contractors of some type or form. And usually they are in a place where they've been in business for a number of years. They're good at what they do. They're a good builder. They're a good, project manager, whatever. And they've built a business. They've done great work, but they're hitting that wall and having those struggles of they don't really know how to build a team effectively, get maybe an office admin on board, you know, foremen or project managers under them who are managing projects and just building out their systems and stuff like that. They're in that the contractor catch 22 is what I call it, where you get a bunch of work, you get super busy, you don't market or do any advertising because you're too busy taking care of the business. Those projects start to wrap up, and then it's like, oh shoot, we don't have anything in the pipeline, so they start trying to do sales and marketing, and it's just this constant up and down and inconsistency of the business revenues and projects and things like that. So usually they're in that state. They've got a number of employees, and then they need help with getting to the next level where they can start to delegate and hand off some of the management tasks and build some consistency into their business with the processes and the core functions of the business. Often these are like sales and marketing, financial systems and estimating would be another one, project management, client management, uh, and HR are typically the big ones that I help with.
So there's a lot of fields you touch on to help those GCs or the home builders to even out that cycle of the
Yeah,
roller coaster, as they say.
it's a big undertaking to systematize a business, and that's why when I work with clients, we figure out what's a priority. We work on like one main function at a time. Like let's figure this out. Let's get that, figured out and operating, at 80, 90%, and then we can always improve it over time, and then we move on to the next one. I think that's a big thing where a lot of contractors get stuck as well. Is it's not just that they don't have the time, but they see the whole business and they try to improve everything at once, and it just becomes overwhelming and unmanageable instead of looking at one specific thing to focus on and you know get one step at a time done, and then over time generally takes about 6 months to a year to really build out a full business and get all the systems in place.
Okay. So that's great. So on the podcast, I do like to focus as well on the customer perspective. So to improve the interaction between the customers and the contractors. So if you were to step into the shoes of a customer, what does the experience look like for them from somebody, maybe running out of their truck with a bunch of receipts on the dashboard trying to make things work versus somebody with a systematized business? How does that affect the customer experience?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge, and that's a big focus for contractors that I work with is the client-facing side of things. And you can often tell when a business is operating well and when it's not. And I think most clients will pick up on that and understand it. And that all relates into the amount of business a contractor will do, and also the competition. If you're dealing with a company where calls are kind of dropped, or you know things don't look sharp or professional, it, you know that awareness goes to the client. The big things that I like to see in place as far as like client relations is, I mean, it all starts from the first call. So obviously getting an estimate and a proposal back to the client in a timely manner, making sure that it has some details in there. It's not just a big lump sum, and that there's more material than just a proposal. That there's some marketing in there as far as what's the company about, how was it started, how was it founded, what are the what's important to them, how they operate projects. So they're giving the client more than just a menu or shopping list with a number of the price attached, but actually explaining a bit about their company and how they operate, so the client can make an informed decision. And then from there, the next big step after they've clients decide to go ahead with a contractor is having an expectations or what to expect document, some sort of welcome letter that outlines all the pertinent information that the client would need to know about getting started, and then what to expect during the work. So depending on what the contractor does, but expectations of when guys show up, how often does invoicing happen, what's the expected time for payments, what can they expect as far as dust or noise or all these type of things. Communication, when is acceptable communication time, when is it, are they should they expect communication within an hour or two or next day, or if there's scheduling conflicts, or if there's other things. Having all those conversations before a project starts often takes care of probably 80 to 90% of the issues that can come up during a project, of just going through what to expect, and then expectations from the client to make sure that they're in line and match what is a reality for the contractor and what they can deliver.
Well, so that's really big. So if somebody has systematized business, they have that conversation regarding expectations, they eliminate 80% of the issues. So I see that as a huge difference. If you just hire
Yeah.
somebody who just gives you a price and starts doing the work, then you're going to run into 10 times more issues, most likely.
And I've made this mistake as well. When I was starting out, is you get a new client and you want to promise the world, because you care a lot. But sometimes you maybe promise too much, or you've said a lot of things and the client has picked up on it and now expects, super high levels of service and cleanliness and everything to go smooth, when in reality that's just not possible. Every project has issues and things that come in, especially when you're doing renovations inside someone's home where they're living, or even if they've moved out. It's just construction. There's a lot of variables, and it's dirty, it's noisy. You're working with a lot of different people, from subcontractors to laborers and everything else. Um, so there's a lot that can come up, and yeah, when expectations are set too high or the contractors promise too much, it's very easy for them to fall short. And then of course there's the client feels that they're not getting what was promised. So having those realistic expectations set out, and then also client portals or dashboards are always super effective as well, where a client can see their schedule, they can see payments that were made, they can get access to photos or whatever else. Those are very effective for keeping communication at a high level without the client having to constantly call the contractor or check with them for basic information that they could have available through a portal or a website or something like that.
Yeah, that's another big one for communication, is the portal where the customer can go and update themselves instead of calling the contractor who's on other job sites, who's busy. How many
Yeah.
contractors do you think are using technology like that to keep like a dashboard? Is that rare? Is it becoming more common?
It's definitely becoming more common as the years go on, and technology improves, and the aptitude of contractors are, the older guys are kind of retiring or phasing out, and younger guys are coming in who have grown up with it and are, more capable with it. So I'd say a lot of contractors, or a good majority, are using something, or they have some sort of software, but often they're not using it effectively, or using it and like utilizing all the features in it. So that's often where I work with a contractor. I'll come in, generally they're already using something, but it's like they started with it, they kind of use it, but it didn't, they didn't really get it dialed in, or they're not aware of some features or capabilities of how the software can be utilized and used properly. So I'd say quite a few are using it by now, but there's a large kind of gap between just having something and actually having it built out and working properly for a business.
I see. So that's something you help them with, is implementing. It's like having a smartwatch and just using it to tell the time. And so
Yeah,
So they're not
exactly.
when they're not using the technology to its full potential. Just paying for the subscription doesn't actually get you the results, right?
Yeah, and also like a lot of these programs nowadays, they have integrations. So Buildertrend's a good example. I mean, there's a bunch, Contractor Foreman or Procore and stuff like that. But they'll integrate with QuickBooks, they'll integrate with other programs, possibly your marketing. And there's not to get too techy, but you can use like APIs and like Zapier and stuff like that to have one program or software communicate with another software. So it it eliminates multiple like double data entries, and when you have something happen in one program, it can trigger something in another program to happen. So there's a lot of automations that can be set up as well, again, just to streamline things and not have one more thing for the contractor or the admin team to think about or do. So yeah, technology is huge. It's going to continue to get better, especially with a lot of AI stuff coming out. There's big improvements happening there, and a lot of times contractors just don't understand or know what's even possible with what they already have or are using.
And I hear what you said. The younger guys are easy. It's easier for the younger contractors to implement this. Do you find that older contractors are more resistant? Are they hesitant, or do they eventually come around to it?
Um, I feel that they're not. I wouldn't say they're hesitant. I think most by now understand how important and valuable it is. I mean, you're paying maybe a couple $100 a month, and it's going to easily save you that in so many different ways, not just from time savings, but just organization and headaches, and having your team have access to it and clients have access to it. Um, so yeah, I think a lot are using it, but because it's not they haven't seen, I guess, what the capabilities are or know they don't really have a clear vision of what the future state is or how to tie it into what they're doing. They do their day-to-day tasks, it's all in their head. They've got a process. Every business has a system and a process. It's just whether it's stuck in the contractor's head, or if it's and just kind of like what they do, or if it's actually been thought about and documented um, and can be explained and delegated. So I think there's the gap there where I don't think they're hesitant to the technology because they know the importance of it, but they just don't see the full picture of how this can implement and how their business needs to change, and vice versa with the software to be effective, essentially. Um,
I see. So that's
yeah.
that's part of what your job is, to explain this is how all these systems and technologies combine together to give you a more effective, more efficient business that's better service for the customer. So you sort of give them you paint that picture.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, they're usually doing some things already. So it's kind of bringing everything together and then working it out in a certain way to get more specific. Um, so you start a renovation, you're probably you're going to have some sort of selections that need to be done for which tiles going in, which flooring, whether the paint colors, what are the light fixtures, what plumbing fixtures. So you've got all these decisions and things that need to be made. So having some sort of a spreadsheet or place to figure out all those selections beforehand, that can go into your software. Your clients can have access to it, and just something as simple as like, what are we actually putting in this project, can be very easily be put into some sort of software and made a lot easier than that back and forth of like what's actually happening or not figuring that out before a project starts. And that's where a lot of miscommunication or, oh, shoot, we forgot to order this or that. Now we got to wait 4 weeks. So we can't, finish this part of the project or whatever. So there's just all those different things that technology is really good at. Once you've got a standard in place, you eliminate a lot of issues and problems there because you've got checklists, you've got standard, schedules, and they just need to be modified and customized per project.
Uh-huh. Awesome. So I like this topic of technology and the implementation of technology. So when you have the conversation with the business owner, they say, "Yeah, we're on board. We understand the value of this." How is it integrating that or implementing that with their team? Is that does that pose challenges? What does that look like?
Yeah, there's always a challenge there. Nobody really, particularly, I shouldn't say nobody, but a lot of people don't like change a lot, especially, employees that have been doing something for, 1, 2, 3, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. We can get stuck in your ways and something new. There's always friction when we start something new. And I think it's kind of a coachable moment, and a leadership moment by the business owner of having a team meeting and saying, hey, we are switching this new software. We want you guys to be doing, entering your time this way now or whatever. And just saying like, there's probably, it's maybe not going to be smooth for the first month or two, but I feel that if we start utilizing the system, it's going to have big improvements. And then explaining it in a way where you're telling whoever's the person is, generally it's going to be your employees, the reason why you're doing this, and then what's the benefit to them. So the benefit to you is your time entries will be on time, your paychecks will be correct. This will save you time because you won't forget, hours instead of, putting them at the end of the week. It saves us a bunch of time, and you know, so yeah, just really explaining the reason why you're implementing systems is a big one. And then allowing some time for mistakes, some time for things to go wrong. Not every system's gonna, work beautifully the first time. Generally, when you start trying something new, there's gonna be feedback. You're gonna try it. Some things may work, some may not, and then you readjust and recalibrate, to dial it in, and then you have that feedback loop of over time your systems will continue to improve and get better. But getting that first process in place is really key because until that happens, you have nothing to improve and your business is kind of stuck, where it is and just operating at that same level, without anything that um, can be improved upon.
Mm. Can you describe what does it look like sort of once you have a finished business in the sense that they've implemented the systems, they've got everybody up to speed, they've got the latest technology. Can you walk through maybe what that looks like?
It's like, so I mean, no business is forever finished because then, I mean, they would all go away eventually. But I know what you mean by having one that's at where all the pieces are in place and they're just kind of, improving as they go along. For a contracting business, there's a couple of big pieces that get put in place. Like I mentioned, there's the different functions of the business, so systematizing those. But I would say that on a big level, the sales and marketing is very key to have consistent sales and marketing system, because that creates, a consistent lead flow, consistent projects. It's also very refined, so you're bringing in the same type of projects and clients generally, so it makes things easier. Um, but either you'd have an agency who's kind of doing this for you, or you have internal processes and people that are getting this done for you. But you should have presence online, so really good, up to date, modern website with good copy. It's designed specifically for your ideal client, and it's very easy for people to get in touch with you if they want more information about projects. So that would be like one of the big things would be a website being found online, having all your social channels set up, on the different social media platforms. And then probably, like I said, either you have an agency or a social media manager who's putting out regular content. You may have an ad strategy, so you have consistent ad spend every month, and with specific ads that are generating a positive ROI. So you know what you're investing and what you're getting out of it. Um, and a multi-faceted marketing approach is always best. So the more places you want to double down on what's working, but you also want to make sure that you aren't just relying on Facebook, or you're not just relying on email marketing, or just relying on your website, that you have all these things in place and you're doing them consistently, because people need to see you in multiple different places, and certain people won't be on Facebook, or certain people may not go to your website. They may prefer to reach you by email or phone call or whatever. So you want to have a lot of different avenues. Uh, so having something consistently set up there is big on the sales and marketing side, and then having like a sales process. So that'd be the sales and marketing, what that looks like. Other standards would be your project management. So this would be a lot of contractors doing it themselves. If you've got to the level where you have a project manager, then you should have some sort of system in place by now. But that looks like pretty much project management software. And that goes from A to Z of creating a budget or estimate for a client and then rolling into a project, doing all the pre-planning. So having that all done with checklists and before a project ever starts, you'd have like, I mean, all of these could be super expanded on, and just for sake of time, I won't dive into too many rabbit holes here. But essentially, you'll do the budgeting proposal, the pre-planning, design, selections, all that, so that before you start the project, everything's been planned out. You know what's going in the project. Everything's been ordered that needs to be ordered, or you have a project plan schedule, so you know, okay, like 1 month into the project, we now need to order the tile because it's going to be a 6 week, delay on it or whatever for lead times. And then once you start the project, then the project manager can kind of just run with the schedule and the project and just adjust as needed as things go along. You'd have a project management guide. I mean, you've got standard operating procedures for the different things. You'd have HR. So, I mean, you should have a consistent hiring process. So these are standard questions. These are standard websites where you're posting jobs. You'll have specific job wanted ads targeted to the specific type of employee that you want to hire. So a lot of people kind of know their ideal employee, or I mean, their ideal client. So it's like, I want somebody kind of in this neighborhood who's looking to do this type of renovation, and and whatever. This is, they have a family or whatever, they know the demographics and everything, but they haven't done that for employees. That's often why you see a big inconsistency when hiring is, you hire warm bodies or this guy's got 2 years of experience, but what does that mean? Like, why is he better with 2 years experience than the other guy who has 2 years of experience? Like, what's the difference between them? A lot of times contractors don't know. They do the handshake and meet them, and it's like, oh, I kind of like that guy, but then a month later he's moved on to another company or whatever for another dollar to an hour. So knowing your ideal employee and having an avatar for them, and then writing job ads specifically targeted to those specific employees. So like I said, there's like in each main function, it's just like it's a web of details that go all the way down to the nuts and bolts of like specific documents or standard operating procedures. And it sounds complicated. It kind of is, but once it's running properly, it makes everything so much more simple because it's like, okay, we need to hire a new employee, labor. Okay, send out the labor ad on these websites. We bring in the resumes. Okay, we look at the resumes. These are the ones we pick. We have interviews with these ones. They meet with the team. That's, it's just like it's a system, it's a process. There's no like having to try to do things from scratch or any of that kind of stuff. It's consistent. So to get back to your original question of what does it look like? It looks like a business where whatever happens in the business, there's a system and a process to handle it. And generally the business owner is working on really high level tasks of managing their team as a leader, managing people, and then looking for growth or opportunities inside the business and not spending their time in the day-to-day operations. And probably at that point, they have a general manager who's generally managing the business and they're doing more vision type work or even moved on to another business or whatever their next endeavor.
Yeah, that sounds like a nice place to be for the owner. And I like what you said about whatever comes up, there's a system to handle it. It's not flying. There's no flying by the seat of your pants or making it up as you go on at any point along. So that's great. And yeah, it does sound there's some complexity to it, but it sounds like you have it laid out pretty clearly in your head. Like you have a great understanding, and I can hear your passion when you're talking about it. What do you like about doing this and helping contractors? Like what's your favorite part? What makes you get out of bed in the morning to do this type of work?
Definitely. It's something that I feel like I have a natural ability for. The reason, like my big kind of why and joy of helping contractors with this is I know the struggles. I've been through the mistakes. I've run a contracting business. I know the difficulties of, anything and everything that can happen from, cash shortfalls to employees, quitting or having to let go employees and trying to find guys to do projects and then not having enough projects and, having clients that, aren't happy with this or that and managing those type of relationships. So I understand the difficulties of the construction industry specifically and how many variables there are, and just how overwhelming it can be for contractors running a business. And I know they want to do a good job, their heart's in the right place, but it's just they haven't learned. Like myself, I started on the tools and I didn't go through, business management or construction management or anything. I worked in some large companies, so I got to see firsthand how larger builders operate and some of the systems and processes that they use. But there wasn't, I didn't go to school for any of this stuff. It was more learned through trial and error. And yeah, made a lot of mistakes, lost a lot of money, had, lots of different things happen. Had some big successes as well, and turned things around, and have had those ups and those downs. Uh, so the big thing for me is helping contractors sidestep a lot of those big hurdles that can come up. And the joy is after we've been working together, seeing that like things start to click for them. And it's like, we got some processes in place, we got some systems. They're not so busy, they're not so stressed or overwhelmed. They feel confident in their ability to get to that next level of business and be more a manager of people, instead of just an operator inside their business, and get out of the kind of the self-employed and more into like the business owner, business manager role.
That's cool.
So
So you
yeah,
get to watch them level up and all the while
yeah,
avoid the expensive mistakes.
definitely. It's huge. And I was talking with a contractor I know pretty well the other day, and he was talking about just not having the right contract in place between him and a developer that he was working for. And it cost him about $70,000 because he didn't have the right like a good contract in place, and something probably would have cost him a couple $1,000s to get the right thing in place, which is included in our program. But yeah, it's sometimes trivial things, but if you don't know or the wrong thing happens, it can end up costing a lot of money. So
Awesome. All right. One of my favorite questions to ask is, what do you see for the future of the construction industry in Canada?
mhm. Yeah, I see technology continuing to create opportunities for a lot of contractors. Um, I mean, smart homes and building practices are continuing to improve. Um, I think yeah, no, it's a great question. I think technology will continue to improve. And I feel like the trades, I think the viewpoint of construction has improved. I think more people understand the importance of it, and it's a much more viable profession, if you will. Maybe not viable, but a well-regarded profession now, where it used to be, you go to school to be a doctor, a lawyer, this or that. But being a tradesperson, I think, has some esteem to it, and is when you look at going to university, spending tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars on education, and then still not knowing if you're going to have a job at the end. Whereas with the trades, a lot of it's subsidized, or you can get workers' comp while you work through your levels and everything there. So uh, I think it's good to see that. Um, and yeah, I'm excited. Like that's what I do. But the technology side of things, of how much better projects can run, and just how much easier it is for all of that that administration stuff to be run by technology. It's pretty incredible, some of the software and programs that are available, for the construction industry, but any business, and really, and how you can run it from your phone or a computer, and you have so many amazing tools available to run a business. And yeah, so those are the big things that I see coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, that's good to hear that, like the perception of the trades and the construction industry is turning around, and I've definitely noticed that. I tell people I'm a carpenter, it's, "Oh, wow," they get all excited and they wanna hear about it, so, yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
it, it's a joy working with your hands and building stuff, and you get a lot of satisfaction out of seeing finished products, and you're changing people's lives, you're changing their homes. Yeah, it's an amazing thing.
Great. Well, any other topics you wanna cover? Anything else you wanted to add?
Nothing specific that comes to mind. I mean, communication, I know that's kind of a hot topic and a focus of the podcast. Um, so communication, so extremely important. Like I mentioned before, of having those open conversations about expectations, about if you're implementing something new, talking with your guys, and there's a lot of communication like programs and stuff available. Like I know a lot of contractors use Slack or even WhatsApp. A lot of these project management softwares have communication messaging within them. So my my hope would be that if a contractor, if you're listening to this, start to communicate more. It sometimes feels like it's takes a lot of time, or it's like you're already doing a million and one things. So, but often there's very few people that will complain about you over communicating. And if they do, then okay, then I don't need to communicate as much. But having that conversation as well, where when you start a project, like how much do you want to be communicated with? Another great one for contractors is weekly updates. So every Friday generally, but you could choose any day of the week, send a weekly update to a client of like, this week we did this, this, and this, just like bullet points. This is what we got done this week. Next week we're going to do this, and this. And then the client's like, okay, they've worked on this. Next week they're going to work on this. Maybe have a few notes of a few things that came up or something that you talked with the client about. And just being proactive with sending updates and messages to clients will often really help with like smoothing out any issues, but also help them not feel like they're in the dark and the contractor's just doing whatever they want, and they don't really know what's happening. And then a couple weeks go by, and then all of a sudden it reaches a boiling point, and then there's this big thing that comes up, and no one really knows what's going on. So yeah, communicating at standard level and having some process for it, very big. So weekly updates to clients, and then also a weekly team meeting with your employees, just toolbox talk or whatever it is, 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever you need. If you got managers, you're probably doing more of like a 1 hour meeting or more to do a production meeting. But having that built into your business of weekly updates for clients and weekly team meetings for your employees, even if you have one employee, just not the what are you doing today, but like um, more like how are things going? Um, what would you like to see improved with the company? Uh, is there anything that we're missing or forgetting about it? Has there been any client communications or any issues that have come up on site? So just having that space um, to talk about things that aren't just specifically job related, but more business, the business management side of things. So yeah, that would be my 2 cents in there.
Yeah, those are great tips, and that even sounds like low-hanging fruit that's easy enough to implement, to communicate more, weekly team
It's
meetings, send the customers a quick Friday update. Those are easy things that, I'm sure can go a
yeah.
long way to improve communication, so thanks for that, that's great.
Yeah, it's not all complicated technology. Sometimes it's just simple, basic stuff that is very easy. It's just making it a habit and incorporating it.
Awesome, that's great. Alright, Derek, well, where can people find you and contact you if they wanna learn more?
Definitely. The best place to get an idea of what we do is our website. So www.rapidresultcreators.com. Or if you just search Rapid Result Creators or my name, Derek Isaac, in Google, it should pop up. That's the best place to see, you know, what we do, and there's a form there to connect further if you want to. Beyond that, YouTube's big for me. I have a YouTube channel, so that's where I like to put out a lot of my content. Same thing, just Rapid Result Creators. Search that in YouTube and should come up with a bunch of stuff. And we're on all the different social channels, so you can find us there too if you want to connect on social media. But from the website, you can find all of our social links. So go to the website and then just click on whichever ones you want to connect on. But yeah, if you're a contractor, I'd be happy to chat with you further about your business, or if you have any questions about building systems, by all means, reach out and love to help.
Great. I hope people do, because my wish is that the industry in general improve its reputation and its level of service. So you're right on track to do that. So that's great. So
Definitely.
thanks, Derek,
Mhm.
for coming on the show. That was a great conversation. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, and appreciate the work you're doing with the podcast. Thanks.
Thanks, Derek. Take care.